Hey, yo, Brandon, what's poppin', boy? Underexposed podcast. That's what I'm seeing. That's what I heard. You already know what it is. Let's get it.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Underexposed. I am your host, Brandon Cole, and today we have an amazing guest for you. This is a show where we go under and we start to ask those questions from some of your favorite photographers, videographers, YouTubers, content creators, everybody all over to get some information about them and get the tea and see what's going on. Today, my guest, he comes from Prince George County, Maryland, man, where he's been tearing it up there, man. He has his own podcast called Shot and Chopped. He's been doing it big up there. He's been heating the game up there, man. He's been tearing the scene up there. And I've been following this young man work. I've actually been on his podcast before. And this man is coming up, man. You guys gotta check him out, man. Other than that, please tell me welcome to the stage, Mr. Josh Canon. What's going on, my brother?
Yo, what's going on, everybody?
First of all, I want to say thank you, man, for checking us out, man. Thank you for coming on the show, man. I had to return the favor when you allowed me to go on your show, man, so I appreciate it, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate you coming on my show as well. Before I even had it as an actual podcast where I was just doing IG lives. So we got to do a run back where we get you on my actual podcast, you know.
The actual podcast. That's right. Yeah, it actually was alive. It was alive. That's what...
Every Thursday at 7 p.m. sharp.
You still do it every Thursday?
Well, I don't really do the lives as much anymore. I mainly just do records where either I have a guest or either I'll chime somebody in and we'll do it that way. But I do want to get back to doing that. Like this platform that we're on right now is pretty cool. So I think I want to, dabble with it some more and get it going on my end too.
That's what I'm talking about, man. Yo, so before we get started in these questions, man, before we get started in the heat and potatoes, man. So I was talking to you before and you told me actually you got started in photography. Actually, you was doing video for some of your friends at the gym. You was doing workout videos and then somebody asked you to do a photo shoot for them. And that's kind of where your passion and your love for photography came from, right? So can you tell us, just hit on that a little bit more, man, and tell me like what happened, like how did that come about?
So basically, like I've always been an entrepreneur. Like anything I can do to make money on the side or not on the side, I would be doing that. And before I started my photography business, I had a personal training business for about 3 or 4 years. I did that. I competed in bodybuilding shows, so I was really heavy in the gym world and gym space and stuff. But then like fast forward towards the end, like when I got my first camera, it was just a regular old camcorder at that point. And then I had maybe like a little point and shoot camera. And
was it was the camera recorders with like the VHS tape in it?
Not that one. The one that folds out. It's the Sony. What's it? Oh no, I ain't that far
like
back.
a handy cam.
Nah, I don't. It basically like a handy cam. Yeah, I still got it. It's sitting over there on the gear wall. But yeah. So I had that, man, and I was just doing a workout video, doing my thing, and somebody DM'd me and was like, "Hey, how much do you do photos, or how much do you charge for photos?" And then when I hear the word charge, I'm going to either one turn it down or figure out how I'm gonna make that money. So like back then I wasn't charging much. It was like probably like $50, $100. But just the fact that somebody was offering to pay me for photos when this whole time I was trying to get workout videos, but nobody wanted to pay for them. I was like, let me try this photography thing out. And then I found my mentor early on, man. Shout out to Sam. He's up in DC. And then things just started rocking and rolling from there. Like just always being hungry for knowledge, always trying to research different things, always trying to figure out what's going to make my work better, how to make my work better. And then it's just like slowly but surely evolved into being a business that I enjoy and able to do and help other people with too.
That's what's up, and I like that, and I like the way you put that. And you said when you was doing these workout videos, though, how did people know like you did photography? Also, they see you. That's just hot. Just having somebody with a camera, they was like, "Oh, you do pictures also," or did they? Okay,
yeah, that's pretty much what it was.
Sense.
You're in the gym with a camera. People just assume that you do everything with a camera. I hadn't got to that point yet, but that started it. You know what I mean? So that's what got me interested in that.
So you pretty much was like, yeah, I do photography too. Yeah, you probably know nothing about photography.
While I'm trying to look it up and figure out, I do photography. Yeah, of course, pay me. That's cool.
That's what's up. That's what's up, man. I think everybody's been there before. It's like, yeah, I got that, man. I got that. Yeah. That's pretty much how like a lot of us came about. And like when you're starting off, you really don't really know really what direction you want to go. You know you like holding the camera, and you know it does something, but you just not aware of actually the impact or what actually it can be or it can do. But you do know you like it. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
that's actually crazy, man. So with that, man, along those lines, man, you was talking about this thing for photography. So what exactly about it? Because you said you fell in love with photography and you started taking pictures. So as you're doing video, and you are, hey, this person wants me to take pictures. Now you start taking pictures. What is it exactly about photography that made you be like, yo, like, I think this is a calling. I think I could really like do this right now. Like, what was it about photography? Like, not the person or just overall, what is it about photography just makes you want to have that drive and actually just be better as a photographer?
just being able to capture the moment, because I enjoyed that when I was doing video, like going all the way back to before I even had a camera, when I was shooting my workout videos on my phone and I had like the little phone gimbal. Like I just have always like documenting the moments and stuff like that. In college, when I was going to school in my fraternity, I was always the guy taking pictures, documenting the moments. So like, I think that's always been something that I've just done naturally. Cause for me, I'm like, oh, let me document this moment. You never know later when somebody might want to, look back on that. And then the further I got into photography, the more I started liking it. And the further I started using the camera, the more I started liking just about anything with a camera because of that, like just being able to document something. Then as I got better as a photographer, being able to see something in my head and then like literally bring it to life through my camera. Like my camera is an extension of who I am. That's the way I look at it. And it's just like, that's what gets me excited and keeps me going. Cause like I'll see something, I'll see a lighting technique or I'll see a pose, you know what I'm saying? And then like, boom, take the shot. And it's just like, it's a thrill. It's a rush when it comes out the exact way that you saw it in your head. That's the best feeling right there.
Don't I know that? Boy. Don't I know that all too well, man. You just get that thing and you just that snapper.
Right. That sniper shot, headshot.
Sniper shot. And it just comes out just amazing. The quality, the light, everything just lines up. And it's like, ooh, I did that. It's like I might have something here. I might can do this thing.
Yeah.
So,
it's like hitting another level. It's like hitting another level because it's like when you start off in the beginning, like you're trying to figure out, well, damn, how do I get the lighting right? Or how do I do this? But then like when you get to the point where you're doing it intuitively, that's when you start having fun. That's when you start like being able to enjoy photography.
So, and that's funny. And that's funny that you say that because they got this thing, because there is a difference between somebody who's it's a hobbyist, somebody just taking pictures, and then somebody who actually calls themselves a photographer, or somebody who calls themselves a professional photographer, or all these titles. So it's like, what exactly, like what is it out here? Like what determines what you are? Like we know what a hobbyist is. I'm not trying to make no money off of this. I just like, shooting my friends or family or something like that. But when is the time where you feel like you can now call yourself a photographer or a professional photographer? Like, because that has a lot of weight to it, and I give you my opinion on it. But when do you feel like you can call yourself either a photographer or like a professional photographer?
So like, I can't remember who told me this. It might have been one of my mentors, but he was basically saying that everybody gets to the skill of professionalism at some point in their photography journey, career, whatever you want to call it. But he was also saying, and I agreed, that's like being a quote unquote professional photographer is somebody that's doing it also for profit. So you can be a hobbyist and you can be a professional photographer. But I feel like at a certain point, that doesn't dictate the skill of it. You can be the best photographer out there and just be like, I just like taking pictures. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like if you put in the title on there, professional photographer, that's because you are trying to do this as like a career, or if not full time, working towards being full time. Like you're making money from your camera, like your camera is paying the bills. So that's how I look at it as a professional. I don't really count specifically in photography, professional meaning like a stature. You get what I'm saying? Like that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, and that's it's so crazy because actually, if you look it up, by definition, it's somebody, if photography accounts for, I think, about 40% of your income, then you're considered a professional photographer or something like that. I don't know. I actually, it's something that we looked at a long time ago. I was like, yeah, whatever. But I don't know, man. Like my thing about it is that I didn't want to be in that bracket or have that professional or call myself a professional photography until I had the skill,
Right.
until I had the skill set in almost every facet of photography. It don't matter where I went, who I shot, when I shot them, where I shot them, what I was shooting with, until I was able to almost master all of those areas. I did not consider myself a professional photographer, because that means if somebody can come to me and ask me to take a picture of something somewhere, whatever, and I can or cannot do it, I would not consider myself a professional. If they came to me and was like, hey, can you, I'm doing a wedding proposal at 9:00 at night on this nice lit bridge. Think you can take that picture? Think you can get the picture for me? Well, probably some of them probably not, because or the picture's gonna be grainy because you don't know how to shoot at night. You know what I'm saying? Or I want to do a sunset shoot, but you don't know how to shoot in the morning. Well, you need flash. Well, you don't know how to shoot with that flash. You don't know how to shoot with natural light. You don't know how to do. I didn't want to be that guy who could not take a picture anytime, anywhere, any day, anything, and it don't matter whether it was models or maternity or newborn or events or weddings or whatever the case may be. Until I was able to master or get really, really, really good at anything, it don't matter, it was studio, on location, I did not consider, I didn't feel like I was a professional until I was so versed and well-rounded. So kind of, yeah, that's just the way that was just my mindset and the way I looked at it. But I definitely do see a lot of people out here, exactly what you said.
That's true. And I just feel like you said, like being versatile, I totally agree, because you do have to be able to do multiple things, and you can be a professional and you can be a specialist. It's like being in the military. You know what I'm saying? Like you right, see, you're touching on bases, right? You can specialize in something, or you can just be in the military, I guess. You know what I mean? But it's like specialists get paid more money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They can handle more things. The specialists can handle everything that, the average or the baseline of being a professional can handle. But it's just like, I agree, where it's like, I think a hobbyist can be just as good as a professional, but they legit might not want to be compensated for that with money. Like, I don't know if you heard of that story. It's just a lady. She died, and it was like maybe like 5 years ago at this point or something. And her parents, her family never knew she took photos until they went into her house after she died.
Oh, wow.
And she had all of these amazing film photos, and nobody knew she was a photographer. But the quality was definitely a professional photographer. But she was just a hobbyist. She didn't do it for anybody but her. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
But, yeah, so if somebody were to look at her work like, wow, this is a professional. But like on like the profession side of being a professional, she wasn't. She was just a hobbyist.
Right, yeah. And a lot of people don't really like to get caught up in, like, I would call like the speed trap, where, you feel like you have to keep up with the Joneses. You have to keep up with, the times of photography. You got to know about every manufacturer, every camera, every lens, like, some people just don't want that headache. It's just like, look, I just want to take pictures. You know what I'm saying? I don't care about all that other stuff. So, definitely to each his own, man. At the end of the day, it's all about you. It's what you make of it. Is, how what you see for yourself in your future and how you see it, which is really important. Which comes to my next question, man. For you, definitely, where do you see yourself going with photography? You have a few things. I see you do some. You have these models, and we'll get on that in a little bit later. But as far as what you do and what you see for yourself as a photographer, and I see you build your studio, you working on that stuff like that. What do you see for yourself? Like, what's the end goal for you?
So just like we talked about, I spent a lot of years, like 5-6 years becoming versatile, having multiple skills at a high level in maternity, newborn, weddings, product photography, natural light, off-camera flash, continuous light, mixing continuous flash, continuous light with off-camera flash. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like I got to that point where I feel confident shooting 99% of the things that somebody could give to me. But now I'm just like, all right, I'm about to turn it up a notch and specialize. So right now my goal is I'm trying to work specifically with business owners, not the big businesses, not the multi-million-dollar corporations. Like I'm trying to work with the middle to beginning business owners to like build them a business incubator. So like I'm not just the photographer. Like I'm helping you with your social media management. I'm helping you pitch to clients. I'm helping you being able to use content the right way, knowing how to post, having social media theory. So I think that's something that's up and coming, but we can talk about that another time. Yeah, that's a whole conversation. But yeah, that's what I'm working on now. Like I really am trying to focus on that, and then also be an educator for photographers. So those are gonna be the two sides of my business. So the branding side, the cool flashy stuff you see me do with models, while I'm also teaching other photographers not just how to shoot, but how to have a presence and build like your brand around what you're doing. Yeah.
So with that, do you feel that it's hard for, if you wanted to start say for instance, you want to be a photographer. Do you feel like it's hard, or somebody comes to you and be like, hey, I want to be a photographer, I want to start a business, all this. Do you feel that it's hard to start a business as a photographer?
I don't think it's hard, but what I think that gets in a lot of people's way, and you can let me know if you agree, is where they don't figure out times where they're learning what they don't know. Does that make sense? So it's like you can start with your camera, you like learn all that stuff. Like it's overwhelming in the beginning, but like if you find a great mentor early on and you start researching the things that you don't know, like just on the technical side as a photographer, you can start growing expeditiously. Like one of my mentees, Chris, like her name's Chris, and she's been shooting for 3 years. She's already full-time. She's already making as much as I am, but that's because she was ambitious. And it wasn't hard for her because like I taught her those things. And then like she just took it and ran with it. Like I'm not even full-time yet, and she is. Like that's crazy. So I think when you spend the time on the technical side and learning the business side, I don't think being a photographer is hard. It's however long you make it or however short you make it. It just depends on your ambition.
That's a good point. In a way, I really think it just depends on the actual person. Because I think a lot of people get into photography and a lot of people want the fast track.
Exactly.
Like I've been doing this for over a decade now, and before I even started making a dime in photography, I spent years culminating my, learning and studying photography, inverse square law, and exposure, and so many things. And I think today, people just want it now. You know what I'm saying? Nobody is really paying attention to the grind. And in photography, the grind is absolutely amazing. Like the grind is incredible because you learn from, you study and you learn from all these different avenues and aspects of other people. And then you start to take it and make it like your own. Like before I started learning really how to edit really good, I'm not a teacher. I'm not going to teach somebody how to use Photoshop and Lightroom because that's not my area of expertise. I can teach you everything about photography, but there's people way better than me that can teach you about editing and frequency separation and dodge and burns. But I learned it myself for my business because I also wanted to be a retoucher. I wanted to learn how to edit. I didn't want to have to outsource my images and stuff all the time if I wanted to do something. So I know a lot of people like that fast track. Like I really feel like to be successful, you really need to know, like, there's so many areas of photography that you can learn to up yourself and make you ahead of like the next person, or, really elevate your business. But, I just think that people just do not appreciate the grind, of learning photography and learning your equipment and learning cameras and really learning stuff. And then even when you learn your equipment, and even if you are even decent at editing, then I know most of them you don't know, you haven't studied posing, you haven't studied facial expressions. You haven't studied, posing from head to toe. You haven't studied. There's so many areas. Being a creative director is extremely important, because guess what? I don't care how great your lighting is. If your model doesn't have the pose and the expression to captivate the audience and bring that out, your picture's going to fall flat anyway. Not like 70% of the image is your model and the way you pose and create that shot, and in your composition and everything. So all of those things are extremely important. So if somebody was to come to me and say, hey, I want to start a business, I'm going to ask them 1,000 questions. Like, what exactly do you know about photography that enables you, or you feel like you want to start a business now? You want to put your name on it. You want to go out and compete with everybody else for their business, clients and everything. Because, you got to be pretty good in order to establish a lucrative or a decent, keep your head above water type of photography business.
Right.
So that's a doggy dog world, that when it comes to photography, if you don't have that skill and, that those qualities and that skill set to basically, step over the pretty much like the next person, so man, it's pretty hard, man, I would say. But I'd just say study, and don't skip the grind. You know what I'm saying? Grind it out, learn all avenues, all facets. It ain't gonna do nothing but make you better as a photographer. You know what I'm saying? So did you learn about editing? Did you learn how to edit your images and stuff? Did you take time to like do stuff like that?
Yeah, most of my skills on the editing side was all self-taught through YouTube University. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like that trial and error, keeping up with different techniques. And then also, I think another thing that makes you better, not just as a photographer, not just as an editor, but like just having a vision, is being able to take constructive criticism. Because it's like when you first get started, if you're the type of person and you have a mentor and they can't keep him or her, they can't keep it 100% real with you and tell you like, yo, this is bad, and you get all butthurt about it and bent out of shape, and you want to be like, right, you're never gonna grow, because clearly that person sees something. They see something that was wrong. Like
you ain't gonna survive at all.
Man, look, I done had so many people like, you know how it goes. Somebody DMs you like, yo, how do I get my pictures like you? Can you teach me how to shoot like you? I'm like, all right. First thing I always say is like, let me see your work. Like, I want to see the good and the bad. Like, I don't want to see what's just on Instagram. And then if you don't have no social media for me to look at, I'm just like, what am I supposed to be critiquing? And then when they send the work, and then you're like, yo, I need you to do X, Y, Z. This needs some work. I'm not like a mean person where I'm just like, oh, this is some shit. Like I've had those mentors too, but I'm just like, you get over it, you roll with it, and you make yourself better. And then you try to come back and make sure you get the next thing right, and then the next thing right. So when you can get that and have tough skin, because you have to have tough skin to be a business owner. You're gonna have clients. You're gonna have clients that they start off, they're all friends, smile in your face. You do one thing wrong, they flip just like that. And if you're sensitive, you might, think like, oh, I'm gonna quit photography, but nah, you just got to keep rolling. Models, you're gonna work with so many models with so many different personalities, and people having things going on with their personal life that rolls into the whole photography realm. So it's just like you got to have tough skin. You got to be able to take constructive criticism. You have to be able to be open to constructive criticism and take those tips, those techniques, and make yourself grow. I always say try to learn from what's not there. So like if you're doing something and you see somebody doing something and you see that they're doing something wrong, learn from that. And then try to like spin it, flip it, and make it so that you don't make those mistakes and make yourself better. So
oh yeah, absolutely. I think that's a good point. When I was coming up, I saw so many photographers and everybody had their own thing, and how people were doing things, and where people were putting their light stands, and where people were putting their soft boxes, and how people were posing, and how I saw like so much until I actually really studied and really got down to the meat of it. and I started to make it my own. I really started to understand like how this thing goes, and say, yeah, you're going to learn a lot, you know what I'm saying? And it's going to definitely be a trial, but you definitely got to have thick skin, and that's a good point, man. You got to be able to take constructive criticism, and then on top of that, don't be afraid to ask people, you know what I'm saying, if they have time, like, hey, you know, especially people who've been doing this, like, hey, you know, I got a few shots, you know, or hey, do you mind checking out just this one pic? You know, you don't want to bombard people, but hey, you know, hey, I did that before too. It's like, hey, I appreciate, you know what I'm saying, your work. You're like, but you know, I'm coming up in photography, man, and I feel like I feel like I have an idea of what I'm supposed to do. Do you mind taking like 5 seconds just to look at this image for me and tell me what you think about it and whatever? But you know, something like that. That's in your delivery, is in your approach, you know, and then a lot of people will be you know, susceptible to helping you out, because I do it all the time. Like, I get hundreds of messages like that, like all the time. So when I have the time, I always, you know, take the time and like, hey, I'm gonna tell you straight up, like, you probably want to change this and this, because this and this. But you know, and I also tell them like, hey, like, you are the creative director, that this is your photo shoot. We'll get into that, man. But yeah, on this whole subject, man, I have one more question for you before we get to the whole model thing like that. And we was talking about improving ourselves,
right,
as photographers, man. And I know definitely one of the things that you have to understand, and one of the things that you must evaluate about yourself, is your weak areas. So for you, you know, what do you feel, well, we can go strength and wisdom. First of all, what do you feel like your strengths are, and then where do you feel like you're lacking, like this time, like 2024, where you are in photography right now? What do you feel like your weaknesses are, or your weak areas, or things that you can improve in photography?
So I guess one thing I can improve on is kind of going with what we were talking about having thick skin, where it's not that I get like sensitive or anything like that, but I feel like when the energy is flowing and like you're vibing with the person, whether it's a client or a model, and then everything is going good, like that's when the creativity starts to flow. So I guess like for me, my weakness is like having that same sense of creativity and being in that flow state when you're not motivated, or when you have somebody shows up that like their energy is off and your energy is not matching. It's just like, dang, you start doubting yourself, like she's like, you know, just mad about everything, or like, you know, they're just stale, flatline. I think I could definitely improve on that. So it's just like just having that competency when it comes to shooting. And then my other weakness probably would just be like finding new styles, you know, because I feel like after a while we get stuck in a style, and it's not that you can't shoot other things, but it's just like, I don't know, for me, maybe about you, but like you start to feel sometimes where things start to look similar. Well, there's your lighting, your editing style, the people you work with. That can be something too. And then just being able to get out there and create with different styles and different techniques.
Going back on one of the things that you said something about the model and them being, you know, kind of stale and like kind of like uptight. You know, when I started photography, I had that mentality, and that's why I was like, I got, you know, hey, let's get motivated, let's get hyped, let's do this. You know what I'm saying? And this is also going to lead into our next question that I have for you, but just piggybacking on what you said, as a photographer, and as a director, you don't have that right. All right. What I mean by that is that I learned years and years and years ago, when you work, especially when you work with first time models, or you work with somebody who you just never shot with before.
Yeah.
People come to the photo shoot with a sense of, you know, kind of tense. You know, they don't know what to expect. They never saw you. They never worked with you or anything like that. Even people who've came to shot with me, even though my work is everywhere, I've never shot with them. So they come to my photo shoots a little timid, you know, a little intimidated, you know. And I'm like, hey, you know, I'm not that type of, you know, hey, we about to have fun. We about to do this. And then once we start shooting, you know, they start warming up, and I start directing, and I start posing, and I start doing this. Then they start, you know, warming up and everything. I never look for a model to be motivated. You know, never, ever, ever, never look for a model to be motivated when they get to the shoot. What motivates and what helps a model is your how you are directing and how you are working and intertwining with them. That's what makes them start to come out of that shell. That's what makes them start to warm up. That's what makes them start to feel good. And one of the techniques I learned by that is when you start the photo shoot and you get in your camera and y'all starting ready to get shooting, and you start taking those pictures, those 4 or 5 first pictures that are really nice, show them. Start to show them what they look like. They should look good straight out of camera. Show them, and then they'll see it. They'll see what they doing. They be like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then they start going, and it's already over with. I learned that a long time ago. But when you can get those shots really quick and they look amazing straight out of camera, and you show the model, even if you never worked with them before ever, even if you never seen them before in your life, they'll warm up to you like that. And the rest of the photo shoot will just be absolutely incredible because now they trust you. Now they see that you really know what you're doing. Now they like, oh, okay, boy, this is fire already. You know what I'm saying? So that like I said, I've never really looked for any type of motivation. You know what I'm saying? Because it's me. It's my shoot. You coming to my house. So it's my job. You know what I'm saying? Some people you just really can't work with.
No, I get it. But only reason I said that though is because like you can have somebody where you literally do all of that. I've done all of that. Like, show them the pictures. The pictures look great. They look great. You know, show them the confidence. He, ha, ha, laugh, all that stuff. You show them the pictures, and it's just like, I promise you I'm not stepping on any toes by saying this. It's just like, they are not satisfied with themselves before they're satisfied with the work. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you just get to the point where you're like, dang, there's like literally nothing I can do to appease this person because they're finding something in every single thing. And it's just like I agree. I totally agree with you. It's like those first time people, you can open them up and get them out their shell. But then so sometimes you just got those apples, those bad apples. Like they all the apples look red until you bite into them. The next thing you know, it's a bad apple.
Yo, I'm weak.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but I got a question for you though. My question is, like, do you feel that models, like, or people that are trying to be models, having a skewed vision of what good photography is? Because, like, you know, you'll look at a model and they say, wow, these pictures look amazing. Like, they're giving praise to somebody where us, on the technical standpoint, we know that is not a good picture. So do you feel like when the person is on the other side of the lens, they don't have that same vision when it comes to their photos?
That's a good question. It honestly, it depends on the model. So the reason why I say that is this. You take a model or you take honestly, I'm gonna tell you like this. I hate using the word model because just because you take pictures does not make you a model. But that's another discussion for another day.
We can literally talk about that for hours.
I'm not gonna get on my soapbox for Jesus. We're just gonna use model for this interview. But models, it depends on the experience and the expertise. You take somebody who hasn't been shooting for a long time, who barely even knows anything about modeling, they just pretty much go to all these different photographers and take pictures, then everything kind of looks good to them, so they really don't know what a good quality image looks like and what a bad one looks like. It's just an image to them. But you take somebody who's been in the game for a while, like my models that I shoot with, like, you know, Sarah and Talia and a lot of people who I've worked with and did over like 10, you know, photo shoots with. And they know my work. They know what they're going to get. And then they go shoot with other people. They know the difference between high quality work and that's all right. So I really think it has to do a lot with the expertise and the experience and what you basically have been around, you know. Right. And when you've been around quality, then you understand quality, and you can use that in pretty much anything that, you know, in life. You know, when you've been around quality, you start to recognize what quality is, even in photography. So
yep. I agree.
So, other than that, pretty much everything just looks the same to somebody who doesn't actually know what quality actually looks like. So yeah. But yeah, that's so funny because I was going to ask you about that, because on your page you work with a lot of models too. You shot a lot of models, and things like that. So working with models, and this is kind of a 3-part question. The first question is, what's the hardest part about working with models? And then what do you feel, who do you feel is better to work with? Either experienced models or first time models?
Got it. Yeah, like I said, I feel like the hardest thing when it comes to working with models is like they have like that ego. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's like or either they don't have an ego and they have like a bunch of insecurities. Like for example, when I was doing bodybuilding competitions, like literally everybody on stage, 6-packs, ripped, swole, but 99.9 of those people have body dysmorphia. And they're looking at them like, how can you have body dysmorphia when you literally look like a chiseled god? And it's just like the reason why people get into it is to try to make themselves feel better. And it's like they're always, you know, trying to chase behind making themselves feel good. And I think that's sometimes why models get into it. And then it's just like when they do have that image problem or that image issue, or they don't understand possibly how they look to others, because everybody else is going to see them as beautiful. Ooh. Everybody else is going to see that they pose, but to them in their mind, it's like you can never appease them. Like you'll literally take your camera and be like, all right, here you go, these pictures are dope, you know, and we know that they're dope, and they're just like, I don't like this, I don't like that. And it's just like, are we looking at the same picture? Like nope. Are we looking at the same? We cannot physically be looking at the same picture.
Nope.
And I think that's what gets hard. But not everybody's like that. So that goes into my second point, where you asked, do I like working with experienced or non-experienced? I like working with newer models and building them up, and we grow together. And like I see them grow. I see them get better. I see them become professional models. I see them become like experienced models, because by the time they're experienced, like they already know how I roll. Like we've done shoots together, and I know that our experience is always going to be better. And like I think at the core of who I am, my purpose in life is to teach people. That's why I teach now. So it's like I enjoy that, man. Like I enjoy being able to help models grow and teach them different things about posing, teach them different things about style, knowing the ins and outs of what to look for in a good photographer, a bad photographer, a creepy photographer, a cool photographer.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
Real.
Like,
keep it real. Keep it real.
You do, because
they out there. I'm sorry.
There's photographers and there's dudes with cameras.
That's right.
You know? So it's just like,
no, that's right.
Yeah. So I think initially I like working with newer models that are trying to grow, and I see that they're ambitious about it. And then like after a while, working with them after they've become seasoned. Because like I just feel with seasoned models, it's hit or miss. You're gonna get the people with the image issues, or you're gonna get the people with big egos, or maybe get very, very lucky, very, very, very lucky, and find somebody that has neither one of those things. That's just a great person to work with, where you just show up and push a button.
Facts. I like it. I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. I love working with first time models. I like people who haven't done, most of my models who I shoot. I just been shooting with them for a long time, but when I first started working with them, most of them didn't know like a lot. They have just grown like almost all of my models. Like I remember the first time I shot with Sarah. I remember the first time I shot with Talia. I remember the first time I shot with Veri. I remember our first shoots, and I was just like, look, we gonna get through it. And then after that, like once we just kept shooting, and they kept understanding, you know, my posing techniques and my posing etiquette, and you know their character and how to bring themselves into the picture and how to captivate, you know, however I'm telling them to pose, and posing from head to toe, and it's just not in your face and your shoulder, like just using your entire, like, over, you know, shoot after shoot after shoot after shoot. And it just got to the point now, like they come on set, they all like, it's wonderful just seeing it now. And some of my moms won't even shoot with other people. You know what I'm saying? That's just crazy. I was like, well, you got to go out and experience. But on the other flip side of that, I also like shooting with experience, or people who have been taking pictures for a long time also, or experienced models also, because they are used to one thing also, or they've been used to shooting with all these other people until they shoot with me, or until they shoot with somebody like me, and then it's like, well, damn, I've been doing this all wrong. Like,
Yep, you got those too.
So yeah, you got those too. You know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
I like shoot with both of them because I like them. I love training and I love teaching, especially models. The same way I teach photographers. I love teaching models also, but those experienced ones or those ones who feel like they've been out there for a while, all right, well, I'm gonna see how much you know as an actual model, you know. And when that brings us to the next thing, this word model, and we're not gonna get into the whole thing, but I just want to get your opinion on something, all right? And this one with little feathers, and that's all right because this is why we're underexposed.
Yep.
There are women who call themselves models. So, my first question to you, we're gonna keep it light first. What is the definition of a model for you? When you see these women and they have their Instagrams and their TikToks and their Facebooks, and it says model or experienced model or published
model,
multi-published
model,
multi-published
5-time
model.
published model. Yeah.
Lord, and then you know what photographers do? You know the first thing we do? We gonna look at every picture on your page. And if every picture looks the same, stand by. Just stand by. But anyway, that's enough. You can do whatever you want to. That's your page. You do what you want to. But anyway, for you, and I don't even pay attention to this word anymore. I don't. I don't sway me one bit. I don't care what you call yourself. But for you, what is a model? What is the definition of model? What does model mean to you when somebody calls themselves a model? If it means anything to you at all.
No, I definitely agree. It means something. I just feel like people use it the wrong way. You know, like a true model is like somebody that's a blank canvas that is willing to be your blank canvas to create your artwork. You know what I'm saying? Because without us, what is modeling? Like, how is it being captured? And, you know, without a model, how do we create the photos, you know, to make portraits? So it's like, it's an ebb and flow. Like, we need each other. But like, I feel like a model on their side, they know how to just be flexible. They know how to express themselves, and they're willing to express themselves. Like, I even think that new models, somebody that's never modeled before, can still be a great model because they're open and willing to take direction. Like, they're open and willing to try new things, and they're literally a blank canvas, which is why I like shooting with new people that have not been tainted by 50 million mediocre or you know, okay photographers, you know, people that just point and shoot photographers.
Absolutely.
And then when they run into somebody like you and me, they're like, this is luxury. This is what photos supposed to look like. This, you use lights, you edit, you know, you do all of this stuff. And then it's like, it just flows, man. Like, and that's what I really think a model is. Somebody that is flexible, somebody is open, somebody that has a positive experience, a positive positivity about themselves. So confidence, you know what I'm saying? And that's what will make a model, because like, if you're not open, then you're not starting with a blank canvas to create your masterpiece. You're starting with tainted paper. You're starting with, like, you know, wrinkled up paper. Because like, you gotta work all the problems out before you can get to the point of having your blank canvas to where, like, now I can really create my art, you know?
So that's a good point. That's funny. So I tell you something. So I was invited to New York, and New York is like the pinnacle of modeling agencies and modeling and a lot of stuff like that. So I had the opportunity to sit on a board and look at portfolios while models did go-sees. All right. In the modeling age and modeling industry, models who are actually trying to be a part of the industry, they go on something called go-sees. All right. And go-sees is where they go to different, agencies, or they go to different designers, and they, they try on, different dresses and stuff, and they, do their runway walks, or they show their portfolios and things like that. So I was able to have the opportunity to go there and look at these, and there's tons of them, and, sit through these boards and actually experience, what photographers and, designers and, executives and what they go through. And I was able to talk to some of the models who are actually part of, some of these big modeling agencies. They hated, let me see, a actual model in the industry. They hated when these females out here call themselves a model or a published model, because that means nothing. It means nothing to them. Like, they haven't put in the work. They haven't paid thousands and thousands of dollars to have the most incredible images. They haven't. They're not signed to an agency, because technically, if we go by definition, a model is actually not somebody. A model is actually somebody who's actually signed. You're not actually a model until you actually sign with an actual agency. But that's here nor there. But anyway, when you were talking, going back to what you were saying and what it means to be a model, my only addition to that is, if you're going to call yourself a model, for me, in my professionalism, I am going to expect things from you, because a model should know the basics when you shoot with people. All right. A model, if you come to set and you already have the theme, you already know what we're shooting. We've already went over this before you even come to the set, because everybody that I shoot before my photo shoots, we talk for a while. We go over outfits, we go over dates, we go over locations, we go over everything. So any photo shoot I've ever done, trust me, I've already talked to them a ton of minutes, hours, or whatever. But when you come to set and you don't have an idea about posing and character, you don't know anything about expression, you're not necessarily, I don't consider you a model. You might take pictures, but the basics of a model should know how to, you should know basic expression. Now, I didn't say pose, because as the creative director, you are the one that is technically supposed to be posing. My models don't really pose. I pose every image that I've ever taken. I have basically posed my model. Sometimes I let them go if I trust them and I'm trying to get shots. I will let them flow, because one of the things I've also noticed is, if you really have a good model and they have a good flow, I don't sometimes want to interrupt their flow. So I will let them flow for about 5 or 10 minutes, but then I might see something like, okay, stop right there. I need you to do this, and this, and I'll have to pose them. But the majority of the time, I'm posing my models. But I took that part out, because you should know basic expression. You should know how to pose yourself. You should know your eyes. On top of that, if you're shooting with a photographer and he's using flash, you mean to tell me you don't know the basics about keeping your face in the light? Basic modeling, or people who have actually been modeling know that what's the number one rule for and my models will tell you, what's the number one rule for a model? Know where your light is at. That is the basic number one rule. You can't call yourself a model if you don't know the basic number one rule. Always know. If you don't know anything right now out there, you models, always know where your light is at.
Yep.
Basic.
And where the camera is, and where the lens is,
and where the camera and where the lens is.
You be shooting up their nose like that, because they might be. I'll go put your head down. Put your head down. Put your head down. Like,
exactly. Always know where your light is at, man. But if you don't call yourself a model, you should definitely know the basics. Guess what? Because as a photographer, if I'm going to take pictures, I at least need to know the basics. If I'm shooting with flash, I need to know the basics. I need to know how to mix my ambient. I need to know off-camera flash. I need to know when to use the ND. I need to know the basics if I call myself a photographer. Shouldn't I know the basics?
You just holding the camera, and like you said, that's a very fair expectation for a model. Because if we just showed up, just got our camera, and we don't know how to use it, they're gonna look at us crazy. We're not photographers, so why can't we expect the same thing from them without them getting upset? Without
you are supposed to.
At least, like you said, knowing where the light is, having a skincare regimen, having like a diet.
You know what it is, like, though.
All of that
you know what it is, though, is because a lot of these models have shot with photographers who don't have that expectation for them. That's what, when we talked about working with experienced models, only thing that they know is they look good. They got the body, they got this. Only thing they know is they look good and they gonna show up. And they get with a lot of these photographers and they like, ooh, and they just start, go ahead, girl. And they just start taking the pictures. But then when you get with somebody like, us, or somebody like me, and I'm like, I don't care if you look good. I don't care what you look like. That is not modeling. That is not posing. I don't care about you sticking your butt. That's not what we're here for. That's not what I need. You know what I'm saying? And they were like, oh, what's going on? Well, you're not modeling. You're just standing here showing yourself off. That's not what this is. That's not this type of shoot. You know, and that's where they get that rude awakening. That's where they get that wake up call. Like, okay, well, maybe I don't know nothing about modeling at all then. Well, you're probably not, because nobody has had that expectation for you, you know, or who's been out here. So I don't know, man. I agree. That's a whole thing right there, man. I don't know if you experienced anything like that, but
no, for sure, because it's like you gotta think about it like this, right? In a area where everybody's supposed to look good because you're a model. And you think that just because you look good makes you a great model? No, everybody that's supposed to be a model is supposed to look good or know how to make themselves look good. So what's making you stand out other than the fact that you're cute? Like some people, you can I've literally run into some of the most beautiful people. I'm thinking like, oh yeah, let's do a photo shoot, and they just don't know how to move. Like they don't know how to like express themselves. They don't know how to take direction. So it's like you can be the most curviest, the most symmetrical in the face, all of that stuff, woman, but if you don't know how to use it, then you can't call yourself a model either. Because like we said, like being pretty should be like baseline standard. It's like saying a photographer baseline, what do you have to be a photographer? A camera. Right? So I think like beauty is just is you know a standard that everybody should have if you're a model.
Yeah. And like I said, I mean, you know, modeling and you know the beauty and all of those things. I mean I've seen not so attractive women, you know, model better than attractive women, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
I mean I don't know, man, but it's like I said, it's the experience, it's everything, it's the knowledge, you know. And just like being a photographer, and we have to constantly teach, and we have to constantly learn, we have to constantly elevate ourselves, we have to constantly study, we have to constantly be out there learning, we have to constantly be evolving. The same way we evolve as photographers, if you are a model, if you like modeling, if you are trying to do something with your modeling or a modeling career, you should always be learning about modeling. You should be in it every day. You should be studying the people who have come before you. You should be learning about expression, learning about character, learning about posing. You should be learning all kinds of, making yourself smaller, making your eyes bigger, smizing, and so many things that you can be learning if you actually want to model. You know, other than that, I just don't think that a lot of people out there who call themselves models, they don't put in the work in order to be a great model. And if you don't put in the work, then it's going to show. It's great talking to you, man, and it's great to definitely chop it up with other photographers, man, just to hear your experiences, man, and what you guys are going through in your different areas. And I think the last question that I really have for you before I got you out here, I know you up there in Maryland. I just wanted to know what the atmosphere and you know, what kind of the atmosphere, the competition, you know, what is it like up in Maryland? And do you feel like you are in competition like with other photographers out there for like clients and getting work? The reason why I asked that is because of this. A lot of we talked about people who are photographers, you know, earlier, right? People who call themselves photographers. And a lot of times somebody brought this to my attention. They said, all these people out here calling themselves photographers and running around with these cameras, they're taking clients. They're taking clients from me. And I was like, well, how are they taking clients from me? They was like, well, these clients and these people reached out to me, right? And they was like, hey, you know, I love your work. How much do you charge? And I'm like, hey, you know, this is what I charge. They're like, whew, that's a little too steep. So they go with the other guy who don't know really anything about photography, but he calls himself a photographer. He got a few images and stuff. So they go with him, you know. And when you said it earlier, right? You said something about, you know, do models or people actually know the difference between quality and, you know what I'm saying, and not. Sometimes that's also true for, you know, clients or people who want to hire you also, because since they don't really know quality, they can see it and be like, ooh, you got some great work, you know, but I'm just going to go over here. With that competition, things like that, do you feel like that is a problem like today, you know, people who are just going out there and doing this are undercutting?
Definitely see that as a problem. And the main reason I do is because anybody that's worried about competition or somebody undercutting them is because they have not put in the time and effort to learn the business side of photography. If you're intimidated by the person next to you, that's because you're scared. You're scared they're going to take your business. But it's like, there's only one me. There's only one Josh. There's only one Brandon Cole. So after a certain point, yes, everybody is going to be good. Everybody's cameras, their pictures are going to look good. If they're professional, they should be good. But then it's like you didn't take that next step to develop the experience of what it's like with you. So it's like when people don't have that business knowledge, they are scared and intimidated and feel like, well, the only way I can keep getting clients is by like charging lower. See how low I can charge, and now it's a race to the bottom. Now it's like I got to do 50.
Like that.
I got to do 50.
The bottom.
It is. I got to do 50 photo shoots in a month just to make $1,000 because you charging like $50 because you're like, well, you know, Brandon, he charged about $500. I think I can get away with
more
$2.
than that.
You know, right? More than that, exactly. You know, but it's just like the real experienced photographers, like the real people that are, one, in love with photography, and two, know how to run a business. They're not worried about competition because each person's experience is different. We both can specialize in, I don't know, food product business photography and like literally shoot the same stuff, live in the same city. I can literally live 2 blocks down from you and we can still both eat because the way I operate, the way my experience is going to be different from you. So when you start realizing that within any business, not just photography, it's no longer a fear or like a reason to be in competition or anything like that. Like if anything, I should be able to come to you and say, yo, I can't take this shoot today. Let me pass it to you. Are you free? And then like I should be able to call on somebody that that's also a colleague of mine to do the same thing for me. Not trying to like compete for money because like it's enough business out here for everybody to be making money. Everybody got that right. Money.
Yeah, no, people don't look at it like that, man. They think they're gonna take it. They gonna think they're gonna take everything and not have nothing left for them. But you're absolutely right. I've never been. I'm just not that type of person. I don't care or worry about nobody else around me. I don't care where you at, especially in the state of Virginia. No, absolutely not. I will take all of this. I ain't worried about nothing. But it's all about, at the end of the day, my favorite saying, at the end of the day, you just let your work speak for you. And that's the only thing that matters. If you got the work, your work will always speak for you. And that's exactly where I leave it at. Because that's the confidence and that's what you need in order to survive this business. And you have to once your work is there, it's just let your work speak for you, man. Everything else will come to you. You don't have to worry about nobody else, bro. Nobody else, man. So I really appreciate that, man. But yo, Mr. Josh Canon, man, I really appreciate you for coming through and stopping through to us, man. This was an amazing. We're going to have to do a part 2 to this because I think this is going to get nice and saucy. I like somebody that keeps it real. And it seems like you got a lot to say, too. So we probably going to do it.
In, man. Yeah, we just warming up.
Yeah, just warming up, man. We're going to have to get another episode about this in the near future, man. But yeah, man, yo, let everybody know where they can find you at, man. What you got going on with yourself, man. Go ahead and put yourself out there, man. 30 seconds, man. The floor is yours, Mr. Josh Canon. Here he is.
Yeah, so y'all can find me on Instagram at Candid Productions. That's CANNDID_productions with a Z, where you can find all of my portrait work. You can find what's going on new with me. Keep up with all of the projects I have going on, and it's the same literally across all platforms: Instagram, TikTok, X now because it's no longer Twitter. But yeah, I try to keep it pretty simple, pretty consistent. Same thing with I have my own podcast as well. So if you want to chop it up with me, my podcast is very simple: Shot, the letter N, Chop, because we chop it up about taking pictures. That's where I got the whole name from there. So either way you find me, say what's up, let's chat, we can talk, anything like that.
Facts. And I will make sure you guys should have the links already at the bottom, but I'll make sure all that information is down there, man. Make sure you guys go follow this brother, man. He's doing some amazing stuff, up and coming. He is tearing it up there in Maryland, man. And yeah, man, we're gonna have to get together again. I can't wait to have you back on the podcast. For all you guys out there, man, I really appreciate you guys for tuning in. This is your boy Brandon. We are signing off on Underexposed with our boy Josh Canon, man. We are out of here. We will see you guys in the next video.
Peace.
Yeah, peace out.
Hey, yo, Brandon, what's poppin', boy? Underexposed podcast. That's what I'm seeing. That's what I heard. You already know what it is. Let's get it.